when I was in that corporate kind of environment, I was just like, I cannot like do this for the rest of my life. And it would eat on me every day to the point where I was just like, my soul is not allowing me to exist in this.
Yeah.
And I literally got laid off from my second
Mm.
corporate job. And I was like, it was a random, they laid off 1,500 people. And I was like, this is my meant to be. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well, this is it. I'm going to go travel, do, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to go. And that was very stressful for a while. But um, it was just me kind of pursuing and trying to find my way into what I was meant for or what I felt like I was meant for. And um, sometimes that's a process of just stepping away from a life and stepping into the unknown.
So feel me when I bring it, sing it loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Hi, guys. It's your girl, Nakama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today I'm so excited to have Lyndsey Warner with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we have seen each other pretty much every day since I started coming to R2L, which is probably about a year or so ago, I want to say.
Hmm.
And you've been at this gym before it was even at this new location that it's been at. And I'm so excited to dive into your story and all things wellness with you today.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess let's start with the gym. So how did you first discover R2L?
Well, I moved to St. Louis in 2020 during COVID. I was out in California drowning because there was nothing to do and trying to survive. So my brother convinced me to come back to St. Louis, be closer to family, and I found Ready to Live, just trying to find a home gym, place to live, and just reestablish myself in St. Louis. And it was old ownership at the time, so I pretty much just came in to work out, started coaching around end of 2020, early 21, and I've been here since.
Yeah.
So
Were you part of CrossFit before, like when you were out in California? Was that always something you've been into?
yeah.
Yeah.
I started doing CrossFit in 2012, I think, and just did it as a workout, as my own day-to-day fitness, and I always wanted to do more with coaching and stuff. And then I got more into coaching in 2019 in Colorado, and then moved actually to California to coach in Napa.
Oh, sick.
So it was cool, but it's just, CrossFit, Napa's very expensive, so it was kind of hard to sustain out
Yeah.
there, especially during COVID when all the hospitality was shut down and
I
couldn't
can't even
really
imagine.
get another job. So,
Yeah. Well, I think what I love about honestly, I didn't really know much about CrossFit until I started because I'm not part of the so R2L is like the big umbrella company, right? So you
hmm
guys have so many different like wellness types of gyms in this space.
for sure.
I'm part of just the regular gym. But like CrossFit I knew about, but I'm like, it's insane. Like this is for people who are like athletic and beyond, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It can be. It's honestly, it gets that kind of reputation, but at the
Mm.
same time, it is scalable and approachable for everyone, if you're willing to try it. And that's one of the things I love about it is you can get, we have 70-year-old, members. We have, 19-year-old members who are killing it. So it's just, it is high intensity functional fitness, um, and it's fast, which is something I love about it. So we
Yeah.
move fast, you get in, you get out, but you are really building like this deep core fitness. And there's a lot of like other benefits that come with it, mental and community, and just so much to it. So,
Yeah. The community part is what I've noticed more than in like
hmm
any sort of other gym. Because I have a few friends who are part of like different CrossFit gyms. And one of the things they like to do is go across, like whenever they're anywhere in the US or even out of the US, honestly,
yeah.
you could find a CrossFit gym and kind of find your people, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
No, I love that about it because it's like this community, and it's almost like the military. Like if you go and you meet someone who was in your branch of service, you're like, oh, that's my brother. And it's kind of like CrossFit, it's the same idea. Like you can go into any CrossFit gym, everybody knows the movements, we're all gonna, work out and suffer together for this period of time, even if you've never met that person. So
Right.
it is a really cool kind of dynamic that you really don't find in many places, really.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I just like put this connection together. But listen, I know you say anyone could do it. And I've seen you from a distance, like coaching people on all levels and breaking it down and simplifying it.
Mm.
But like, man, oh man, sometimes when you guys are in the middle of a routine, there was one day when I was walking by and there was like half the group was like scaling these ropes and the other
Mm.
half was like doing these intense like burpees. And
Yeah.
it was so coordinated, by the way. It looks so intense, at least from like the outside looking
For
in
sure.
a cool way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, knowing also that you mentioned to me before we started recording that you are a former Marine,
Hmm.
I was like, hey, it makes sense. Like it seems like a similar type of like training, I would
For
assume.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
the high intensity and just it can be difficult. There's a lot of skill that you can kind of build and learn over time. And like those movements, like the rope climbs and the muscle ups and all those kinds of
Yeah.
things are more advanced movements that are, I think, intimidating from the outside in or look just really cool or intense.
Yeah.
But, there's building up to that. I just know for me personally, it took many years to get to that. So it's really just what you put into it, I think. But
Yeah. Like anything
um,
else, right?
yeah, and I think the biggest thing about CrossFit is like you have something to work for always. Whether you're trying to get stronger or trying to learn that skill, or you're just trying to beat your former self, to something you did, a year ago. It's just like for your brain, it's kind of like so rewarding because if you're just going to a gym and just hitting the same machine every day, that can get kind of boring and monotonous. So for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I love it because I'm always like competing with myself, even my friends in the class, and then just learning. Like
Right.
that's so like valuable for the brain is just learning new things and kind of progressing in that way.
And
So
you have competitions all the time.
yeah, yeah, competitions are another kind of
Yeah.
avenue that you can pursue and really get involved with, which is also cool. So
Right.
yeah.
And I remember because like you're also is your role like the manager? Is that what your role would be? Because
Yeah, I'm the manager
okay.
of the gym, the CrossFit gym. I also hold the head coach role. I have
Oh,
a
sick.
level three CrossFit certification. I just kind of nerd out on education, so it was a thing I decided to do, and it was really kind of awesome deep dive into CrossFit methodology and programming and just everything you can think to learn about CrossFit, and so that was just a goal of mine to be able to kind of pursue that and really make
Yeah.
it a kind of career for myself. So,
Well, I love that you do that because as someone who's like had so many different trainers along my gym journey,
hmm
it's it's really amazing to me because going into a gym is really intimidating for a lot of people,
for
right?
sure.
And then it's more about we all know we should move, we all know we should like get stronger and be better, but it's so intimidating because you're like I go online, I go on Instagram, I go on YouTube and I see so many different fitness influencers and coaches being like, do this movement. And so that it's an art, almost like a dance to me, to
For
come
sure.
up with those routines per day, but then also like a bigger plan. So it makes a lot of sense that you would want to nerd out and go into that because
Yeah, yeah.
understanding for each person and all body types and different levels and different ages, like that's key because otherwise people hurt
hmm
themselves. And the goal is for people to get better, have that community.
hmm
I think having you be a head coach with that background makes so much sense,
For sure.
honestly.
I think that it's also about making people feel comfortable. I think that's really
Yeah.
important to me is like, like you said, like you walk by and you're like seeing all this crazy stuff. And so I think that in my CrossFit, career, whether as an athlete or a coach, I've seen a lot of that. Like, oh, I have to get fit before I can go
Oh,
do that.
yeah.
And it's like, no, I mean, this is the process, right? But you
Right.
just have to understand, like, I don't know, sometimes ego comes into play. You're just like, oh, I don't want to go in there if I
Yeah.
can't do it. But we all have to start somewhere. And everyone, I think our gym is awesome in a way because everyone is so welcoming. Even like the
Hmm.
best athlete in the room is so welcoming to new people. And that's hard to find in some other gyms that I've been to, even. It's just, I love that about our community because it is intimidating. It is hard to step through, and our coaches are really great about making people feel welcome. And just as someone who's kind of overseeing things here and there, I just really love, watching that interaction and letting people. Um, it's like watching a child discover something new. It's like as adults, seeing an adult kind of like, oh my God, I never thought I could do this. That is like the most rewarding thing
Yeah.
I've ever experienced. honestly, like we working with kids, working with adults, like just seeing an adult, light up, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I didn't know I could ever do this. It's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. I actually would love to take a moment to talk about
Hmm.
a program that you guys have started recently that I think is really special, which
Hmm.
is the Back to Balance program.
Hmm.
Because I know that's relatively new and also low key, like shouting out to like Will and everybody who's a part of that process
Hmm.
because I also wanted to get in on it because my dad, my granddad were veterans. And
Hmm.
so I wanted to create a coffee and tea box so that we can do some funds back into it's like 20%
Hmm.
of our profit is going to go back to that program.
For sure.
But if you feel comfortable, I would love for you to like kind of talk a moment about what that program is and like what it actually realistically looks like from the
Right.
gym side of things.
Yeah, so the Back to Balance program, it's like a 3-month program for veterans who, they can apply, see, you know, what kind of path they want to choose. We have the R12 Wellness umbrella that we have CrossFit, we have the Ready Fit side of the gym, we have weightlifting, we have all kinds of things, and they can kind of choose. We have PT, chiropractor, where they can kind of choose like what they need to help them in their life, and whether that be getting back their mobility or getting back their fitness. I'm also a nutrition coach, so I've
Girl, you
worked
wear
with,
so many hats. It's insane. I feel like every
yeah.
time we talk, I'm like, what else do you do?
Yeah, I've done a lot of things. I like to kind of learn and stay busy, like I said, but
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity of working with several of the Back to Balance kind of, I forget what I don't know what he calls them.
Like
They're
the
like
veterans
they're
that come
our,
through.
yeah, our
Yeah.
members, our Back to Balance members,
Yeah.
with nutrition, and it's really great to kind of get to have that kind of guidance for people in an area where a lot of people do struggle and they just don't know what to do.
Hmm.
So it's cool to help guide that along, and then I also get to kind of teach a little bit of CrossFit to some of them who are interested in CrossFit, and that's really cool too, because they're just like, again, these are people who maybe feel like, they're behind a little bit, or they just needs that push and that guidance, and you get that in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Um, and something for veterans, it's just such a good environment. And that camaraderie that you get on the gym floor when you're doing a workout is very comparable to what you get in the military.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends, and even myself, once you get out of the military, it's very hard to kind of transition, because we don't have like an environment that's comparable to what you did in the military, because you go to boot camp and you're being trained to like basically die next to the person. I was in the
Oh,
Marines,
wow.
so
Yeah.
that's combat training, and you're with your brothers and sisters, and you're over here like we could be sent to combat and literally like save each other, or you could die for me, vice versa. So that's kind of a big
Yeah.
deal. So
Yeah.
when you come back as a civilian, it's like, well, I mean, everybody's so worried about things that are trivial, and
Mm.
we're not really getting that sense of camaraderie in day-to-day life. It's really, really hard to find.
Yeah.
So I think something that I've learned throughout my just life is that PTSD, a lot of it is traced back to that missing piece, and people coming back and not really like being able to replicate what day-to-day life was like, or find those people that they really trust and can be um, in life with in
Yeah.
that same way. And I think that CrossFit kind of brings that kind of energy that they're missing,
Yeah.
that camaraderie, doing something difficult with someone and really like bonding over that. That is, it is a really healing kind of environment. It was for me especially. So I found that other Marines, or not just Marines, but other veterans that I've met,
Yeah.
it's really valuable in terms of kind of finding something that helps.
Right.
Hmm.
It's kind of something I've been geeking out over recently is just the concept of an overstimulated nervous system
Mm.
and how like so many things can contribute to it. So many things that you can adjust in your day-to-day life can help with it, from your diet and your nutrition to having that exercise program to having a good community to even just like breath, right? Like there's so much
For sure.
that goes into it and it doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's like just the simplest things and I feel like wellness is such a big topic now But people are, they're getting the Aura rings, they're getting the Fitbits. I have one too, mine's charging. Or they're doing like the special blankets, or they're going into the hydro chambers. Like, there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
like you can dive deep and spend as much money as you want, but
for
it
sure.
doesn't have to be complicated.
Mm,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, we have a lot of tools and technology and all kinds of stuff that can help. My background, I have a data background, so
Yeah.
data is cool. That's why I like
Do
the
you
Aura Ring.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
I was in the corporate world for a while,
Gosh.
and it wasn't my
Was this
thing.
part of also the green tents part of your life, or that was before
No,
that
this was
even?
before.
Wow.
Yeah, I was when I got out of the military, I was in tech and operations for a major accounting firm, and then I was a data analyst for Humana, which is health insurance. So, I was doing a lot of like, you know, database stuff, reporting, all kinds of techie stuff. But it was
Yeah.
just a part of my life. I wasn't really very happy. I was in a cubicle.
Oh yeah.
It was just,
Been
I'm an
there.
outdoors kind of active person, so
Yeah,
it was prison for me.
for sure.
So when I got an opportunity to get out of that, I pretty much took it and kind of sold everything and traveled and started a new life. And that's kind of what brought me into, getting back into wellness and, CrossFit and nutrition and all of that kind of thing.
Was there a gap from when you left the Marines and then got back into CrossFit where you just kind of weren't really
There,
active?
there was. I was in school. I got my bachelor's degree while I was working full time and going to school at
Oh,
night.
wow.
So I was not very active at that time. I was probably the most unhealthy or unfit during that time because I was just figuring life out after getting out of the military and just
Yeah.
trying to get my education. So there was a little bit of a gap. But I think I found CrossFit in 2000. I think it was 2012. I walked into a sports bar and CrossFit was on all these screens, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, I have to know what this is," and I immediately
Yeah.
was just like, you know, I was sold. So I was like, all right, I got my actually level one trainer's certification that year because I was like, I have to like be
Be a part of
involved.
this.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I can understand that where it's like there's a certain level of when you nerd out about a certain thing where you can only be a consumer for so long and then you have to get your hands dirty. Like you
For
have
sure.
to understand the inside and out. Like I get that way about podcasting or
Yeah,
coffee, right? Like
for
that's where
sure.
I just am like, I want to know it all,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it never ends. That's the cool thing. Like
for sure.
when you really dive into any topic, there's so much that you can nerd out and take apart with it?
No, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much 2012 to present day have just been, you know,
Yeah.
consistent with CrossFit and fitness and just growing that,
Yeah.
kind of aspect.
So you're saying like, I mean, obviously you were very fit, very active, especially with like your background in the Marines, but
Mhm.
like, do you feel like, I guess my question would be was like timeline wise,
Mhm.
when did you really start to feel that you had kind of gotten into your groove with CrossFit, where it wasn't such a beginner level anymore?
Um, there was a little bit of time, like right when I started, like really like going daily, just kind of as a member of a
Hmm.
gym, where I felt like I got really fit really fast. And then I think just life kind of, I stopped being as consistent, just stuff going on in life, my job and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I started actually coaching is when I was like, this is my day to day. And honestly, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to coach because I knew that that was going to keep me on track for my own
Mm.
personal benefit. And I just really loved it and wanted to be a part of because I could see like how it was benefiting people. And that's something that I think throughout my life I've always wanted to help people facilitate, other people growing, healing in whatever aspect. And it was a way I could see the benefit, and I just really wanted that to be my existence and finding a way to do that. So I think I've always been looking for that thing, and it was in front of my face the whole time.
Right.
So I always had CrossFit, but then I was always looking for how can I help people? How can I do this? I'm going to get my degree in this and that, and
Yeah.
then but literally, I think it was just literally the whole time right there, and I just wasn't seeing it as a way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, wow. But like, what a blessing to have found it, because some
Oh,
people go their whole
yes,
lives and they
for
can't
sure.
find what sets their soul on fire. I
Hmm.
mean, so many of us, I think, I went through that season too, or when I was working corporate.
Hmm.
I remember I asked my life coach at the time had a podcast, and I asked him on one of his live Q&As, what do you do when what your day job is like you're killing it, right? Like you're doing great at your job, but it's not setting your soul on fire.
Hmm.
But you don't know what sets your soul on fire. It's not like you
Yeah,
have a little hobby that you're like, oh, if only.
yeah,
You just don't know.
for sure.
It's a really complicated place to be in. So,
Yeah, I spent a lot of years there, and I think I just didn't allow myself to believe that, I could do it for, a career and then, there's a part of me that's just like, well, I guess my passion doesn't have to be my career,
hmm,
but then it's hard to kind of find that balance of when you just really want to make it that.
yeah.
I grew up and my family was business owners, so
Oh, sick.
we had a family business, and so I've always just wanted to have my own thing in a way, and not be under the corporate umbrella. That was just really never me. So I've never stopped wanting to have my own thing, whether it's a side thing or the main thing. I think having my own business has always been just kind of
The
an
dream.
expectation for myself, just because it's my comfort zone.
Right. So the reality is though, I mean, they say if you find what you love, you never work a day in your life. Is
Yeah.
that really a reality? Is that like your experience or is it?
I guess it's just your perspective, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, I don't own this business, but it is kind of my baby, I say, because, I am pretty instrumental in, a lot of things we do, and the owners really listen, which is awesome. Like, that is the
Yeah.
best place to be in outside of having your own business. But I think it's just, if you are a business owner, you're working way more than if you would not be owning the business. But it's
Yeah.
just the thing that it's the passion. This is deeply intrinsically gratifying versus just getting some money.
Yeah.
So this is my survival. And, there's nothing worse, I think, than waking up and dreading your entire day.
Yeah.
And then just counting the minutes till you get to go home, and then dreading going to bed because then you have to wake up and go do it again tomorrow. There's nothing worse than that,
Oh, for sure.
for sure.
Yeah. The way I heard it phrased recently, I thought it was phrased just so beautifully was that yes, you are working pretty much all the time when it's
Mhm.
like your business, your
Mhm.
job, but it's your life's work.
Mhm.
So it's a different energy, right?
For
Because
sure.
there's a certain pride in it. And
Mhm.
then also, like you said, perspective. It's also whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it too,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's like I mean, it's what you see as work, right? Like, is work something that you can do that you could feel happy, and that is your perspective on work. Like, I'm working for my passion, or am I working just for survival? So it is the perspective and your definition of what work is to you,
Yeah.
and what that looks like. So
Right. And then also shout out because you're a mom of a really cute, she's not even 2 yet, right?
we've got like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
3 weeks. She's the cutest year-old in the whole world.
Yeah.
But it's like, what a role model for her, like at this point. Because like it's been a journey,
Hmm.
being in you've worn so many hats.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's still gonna be so much more that you don't even know that's gonna happen in the next 20 years of your life too.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's just like the fact that you're already on this like trajectory where you're following your passion and what you love, like that's such a great role model for her to grow up with and see, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I never want her to feel like she can't be herself, and can't pursue her passions. So I'm trying to facilitate her, like, growing up with that kind of mentality of, doing, first of all, being active, because I think that's important. But you know, what is really important, is finding your passion and pursuing it, and not just money, or,
Yeah.
status, or whatever the things we see. It's just so hard. I feel like her generation is going to struggle so much just because social media is their culture. Whereas at least we have the past where we can, like, I know I could put this away and really, like, dial in my human interaction, but I think it's going to be
Yeah.
harder for her and the future generations to kind of tap into what they want to do, because you're just seeing so much that is not real.
Oh, yeah, especially with AI coming into
Yeah.
place. Not speaking up.
For sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that, I'm hoping to just kind of set that example that, do what you want and go after it full force. And,
right.
it's also okay to change your mind.
Right. But
So,
I also think going back to like the whole community and the vibes of
mm,
everyone that she's kind of growing up with,
hmm
she's surrounded by that energy too,
for
you
sure.
know?
And I
And
love that for her, honestly. Like
yeah,
of all of the benefits there are to being in the role that I'm in, I think that her getting to come to this gym and just have all these like aunties and uncles and
Mhm.
friends and everyone saying hello to her, it's such a benefit. And just having that exposure is really awesome for her. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Something that I've been like nerding out with like the past 48 hours. I fought this title for so long. I hated the concept of like people pleasing, right? Um, and so many women I know especially struggle with that concept. And I would always be like, I'm not a people pleaser. I'm definitely not. Like it's not me. I don't care. I
Hmm.
don't give a shit. And then recently I realized, wow, I'm just in denial. Apparently I am like, there's just
Yeah,
certain things
for sure.
that I've like learned to shift. For example, this is such a small one, but when people ask you how you are,
Hmm.
I would feel the need to go into this long-winded answer. And I realized like that's coming from a place of wanting everyone to like understand and they don't need to, nor did they care to per se. Like you
Yeah,
just kind of like
you're just
read
being
the
polite.
room, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am, I think for me, I have always been like an empath. I'm always thinking about how the other person is feeling.
Yeah.
So that rolls into the people pleasing. It's like, okay, I know that they can't handle this conversation right now, so I'm just going to give them what they need to
Mm.
be comfortable.
Which intuitively is a good trait to have,
For sure,
but
for
there's a
sure.
fine line.
There's a fine line.
Yeah.
So I think it's where we start self-sacrificing a lot, and we're just like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, sacrifice my peace or my time or my whatever, so that that person is okay enough. And that can be physical, that could be just in conversation, that could be a lot of things. So I think historically, I've really fallen into that quite a bit, and especially with people that I really care and love, like my family. I was always kind of trying to make sure everyone else was okay first before me. Um, but I had, recently when I had my daughter, it was just like, okay, she matters more than everybody else. So I just got to make sure that I'm doing right by her. And also for me, there was awareness of I'm really good at taking care of everyone else and not so good at taking care of myself. So
Hmm.
I want the example for her to be me taking care of myself and then everyone else,
Yeah.
and not sacrificing my own needs or my own peace. But I think everything changed when I had her, and also when I lost my dad and my brother. Um, you just get this perspective on what's really important and that life is so short. And it's just, I watched my brother go through a cancer at a young age. So his perspective changed immensely because he was very much a people pleaser. And all of a sudden he's like, I don't give a shit about your problems, and he
Yeah.
wouldn't say it like that. He was just so kind, but he would just, especially with me, he would be very blunt and open, but it was more like, I mean, you're worried about what that other person thinks of you. Like, how are you feeling today? Are you healthy? Have you eaten well? Like, are you, take care of yourself, take care of the things that are important, take care of your relationships,
Yeah.
um, versus worrying about all these things that really don't matter. And that was a really big lesson for me in watching him go through that because it was like, yeah, like, and then just feeling that like feeling of like helplessness watching that happen. It's just like, all the stuff that people are worried about is not important. And
Right.
then, so that really brought that home for me. And I kind of went hard in the opposite direction of trying to like focus on what was really, really, really important. So now I'm trying to come back to that balance of empathy for, everyone I encounter and understanding, you know, when someone's rude to you, maybe they're just really not having that great of day, but like still kind of, you know, be kind, but at the same time not allow that to affect me personally.
100%.
So there is like that
Yeah.
little bit of balance that now I'm like, I've got both these really solid perspectives that now I'm trying to kind of bring that together
Mm-hmm.
and make that, who I am. Whereas I still want to be kind and caring for other people and help other people, but I still want to make sure that, holding the line is helpful for everyone,
Yeah.
like, letting people see like, hey, I can't take that out on that person. She's not going to allow it, but she's kind of being cool about it. So that helps me like have awareness, self-awareness. So,
Yeah.
um, it's hard. It's hard. It's like life and learning and taking the lessons and trying to I had this thought this morning. It's like, when you're like going through something really hard and it's really, really easy to fall into that pity,
Mm-hmm.
that victimization and like, especially when something happens that is like totally unfair, like, losing someone young that you really care about.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, what can make this experience valuable is to learn the lessons and not have that self-pity and take responsibility, even if it's not your fault or your problem or you
Yeah.
didn't do anything wrong, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. But there's like survivor's guilt, right? Sometimes.
For sure,
Right.
yeah.
Especially because he was your younger brother,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
there's like that, it's like that jarring feeling. They say that a sibling's death is something you never get over. Not that
yeah.
you necessarily get over any any loss,
Hmm.
but it's just it's so it's so unnormal to like, especially at a young age, but just in general. Like
Yeah.
it's I think death in general, like I can relate to grief to a
Hmm.
certain extent the same way because I've lost all my grandparents and my dad.
Hmm.
And so, like, I remember when I lost my last grandparent, that was also weird because generationally, all of a sudden, like, you're like that doesn't seem so far away anymore, right?
Right, yeah.
Like you were in this cocoon
Hmm.
of feeling safe and having all those generations and those memories, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, like especially when a parent passes,
Yeah.
that definitely like shakes everything for you because you're
Hmm.
like also just especially if you lose them at a younger age,
Hmm.
seeing everyone around you take their parents for granted or just
Yeah,
certain things, it's like it's hard because there has to be that empathy where you're like, not everyone's
hmm,
going to have that perspective,
for sure.
and
Yeah,
it's just, it's not necessarily your place to say anything either. It's just learning to kind of be a normal person in a world that doesn't, it's not
yeah,
fair sometimes, to
yeah,
be quite honest.
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think part of empathy and being a person who kind of understands people is you have to understand that not everyone is in your place in
Right.
life. So I've had experiences that other people haven't had, and I have to understand that their perspectives are different. They're based off of their experiences, not mine. So I think part of it is understanding that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place to get to. But honestly, once I kind of had that awareness, I was like, that's like such a weight off,
Yeah.
because it's hard to like, when people are being away, you're just like, ugh, like that person's terrible or whatever. But it's just like, okay, well, they're not terrible. They just don't know. Like they don't have that
Right.
perspective.
They only know what they know.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the losing someone close, it wakes you up. It wakes you up to, like you said, your own mortality and
That was the
where you
word.
are.
I was struggling to look for the word, and I was like, I don't know the word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It is hard. And especially when you're close.
Yeah.
That's really hard. It just feels like um unfair is the word. It feels like you want to change it so bad but you can't. And it's
Right.
like to have something like that in your life, it's a hard, you just day to day just go through it.
Right. And grief is wild.
Yeah.
It hits you randomly
Hmm.
and it's not necessarily when you would expect it. And sometimes it lasts for a long time. Sometimes it's a moment. The next
Yeah.
second you're, I don't know, fine is the right word, but you're
Yeah.
back to functioning normally,
For sure.
you know?
Honestly, like I'm grateful because it's like I'm alive. I feel these things and it's like when I go through those moments, it's like I'm feeling my way through it,
Yeah.
like and it's not ever anything to be like it's hard, but it's never anything to be like ashamed of or sorry for or any of it. It's just like I'm getting through it and I'm becoming
Yeah.
stronger for it. And it's just a process, and it's your process, and it looks like what it looks like. So it just, I know I have a perspective on difficult things. I've been through a lot of difficult things, I guess. And it always makes me like have really good awareness of the world and how we all interact, and I get really grateful for those moments because it's like, well, if I'm limited and I just think that everyone's out to get me, it's just a really hard life.
Oh, yeah.
But to be able to kind of tap into the difficult situations or the difficult things you go through, and like you become very resilient, and really it makes it
Mhm.
really hard to throw you off, which is really kind of a cool place to be in. It's just like you're unfazed.
Yeah.
You're unfazed by, the things that other people haven't yet gotten through, So I don't know, it makes life kind of feel a little bit sweeter, a little bit more valuable, because
Yeah.
that's our perspective, right? We go through the darkness to like appreciate the light,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever that it looks like for us. And I think that especially with my daughter, like she came at the most perfect time. So I am like immensely grateful for that, because I don't know how I would have gone through the past 3 years and kind of everything that happened without that as my light.
Right. Because
So
she is such light and joy.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
I don't know. She's a gift. My brother says she's a blessing, and I hold on to that like every day. She's definitely a blessing, and she's the most hilarious. I don't know a lot of children that age right now, but she is
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious.
No, she's super cute. It's
So
insane because it's like, as a mom, you might be like, oh, maybe I'm just being
exactly,
biased. But I'm
exactly.
like, I have no relation. And I can tell you, like, she's insanely cute. Like,
Yeah.
insanely cute. She brings me so much joy every time, like, I see her, even if she's like across the gym and I just see her like waddling her little waddle and
Yep.
her little scrunched up nose whenever she
Yes.
smiles. Oh, she's the
Side eye.
cutest.
She gives you a side eye.
She's
It's just
got
great.
sass. It's cute. She definitely has a personality, and I can't wait till she starts talking because that girl
Oh,
has whole world inside her,
she's got a lot to say.
and she's observing a lot.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I'm so like blown away by that. And
Yeah.
you know what? It just really like I really hadn't planned on having kids. I never thought that it would happen just for, kind of my life path. And when it did happen, I was just like, it just gave me such a respect for humans,
Mm.
like humanity. It's just like, holy cow, like the way this all biologically went down. And then not just that, just like our biological, like this innate like need to protect, and just all of these things that are preserving life. It's so incredible.
Yeah.
And then just to see how she, evolves and grows, and how her brain works, and it's just like so impressive, and it just makes you like really kind of think about spirituality and kind of how this all happened. So it's really cool, to have that perspective of life and death simultaneously, and just
Yeah.
how it kind of intertwines. And um, it's I think that as we get older, death starts just happening in our families, and it feels so scary because you're just like, these are the people I know, but then
Yeah.
this new one comes along, and you're like, oh man, I never thought that could exist, or that I could feel that way for another being. And it's
Yeah.
so like
Incredible.
surreal. Yeah.
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 And it's really cool because I'm very spiritual.
Hmm.
So, like, I'm really into like Kabbalah. And like, one of the things that it talks about is that, like, as a parent, that little soul was always destined for you,
For sure.
just waiting for the perfect moment.
Hmm.
And then here she is,
And
you know?
I 100% believe that, because I mean, she showed up 2 months after my dad passed away,
Wow.
and um, in the midst of my brother's diagnosis, and it was just, those were the most difficult things to kind of process. And then she's just like, I don't have time to like sit here for, days and days, and be sad. I have this beautiful little baby that I have to care for. And so it's, while it kind of delayed a little bit of that grief and that mourning process, it kind of, made it a little bit more manageable. I could spread it
Oh,
out a little more. And then I find those moments where I get to go through that kind of purging of what I'm feeling. But
yeah.
um, I honestly feel so blessed that it all went down like that. And in the moments, I was like, this is so unfair, but at the same time, like in hindsight, like you said, it was meant to be that way.
Life is fast, but every now and then, you deserve a pause, a moment that's just for you. At Le Cafe, we believe that each cup of coffee should taste like a little bit of luxury. Handcrafted and locally roasted here in St. Louis, each of our single origin beans are carefully selected to give you the most unique and smoothest experience. Whether you like a light, medium, or dark roast, we got you. For those busy mornings, or for my coffee lovers who prefer efficiency, we also have K-Cups. So go ahead and pour yourself a cup that tastes like self-care. Visit www.lecafe.us to bring the cafe experience home. Le Cafe, you deserve it.
I will say though that going back to like people pleasing tendencies, something new that I've kind of shifted is that a lot of times I'll find that people would say like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss."
Hmm.
And in the moment, especially depending on how well I knew them, I'd be like, "Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay."
Yeah.
And I've like recently been able to just be able to receive that and be like, "Thank you."
Hmm.
Instead of being like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Because I didn't
Yeah,
want them to feel bad. Like I
for
didn't want
sure.
their feelings to all of a sudden be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's language that we kind of can pick up on like that. Like, sorry, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you
Hmm.
apologizing for, what are you apologizing for?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. But yeah, it is hard when you go through a loss like that people don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Or so it is hard to, as someone who's empathetic to how people feel, it's just very difficult to like not try to make them feel better. Like, they're in essence reaching out to you to, like, you know, offer comfort, but you're comforting them. So
Yeah.
I found myself very like working through a little bit of that too. So
Right.
yeah,
I
and then
mean, grief also from like that perspective, when you're the one like going through it, it's your first time going through grief too,
for sure,
right? So it's
yeah,
like, it's interesting how like I've been on, I think back on some of the things that I've said to people before I went through grief, and I'm like, ooh, my
mm-hmm,
bad.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
Like, oh no, yeah, that was,
like a good one that people, not a good one, but like one that I will stereotypically get is people are like, if you ever need anything, let me know.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
in my head, I'm like, I will never let you know.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
because you just know that they don't really maybe mean it.
Yeah, but also being a burden too. Like maybe that's the
Well,
people
that too,
pleaser thing
yeah.
where it's like, I don't know, like what do also I think that puts a burden on the griever because it's like, well, I don't really know what I need. I'm
Yeah.
dealing with so much emotion right
Mm-hmm.
now, which is why like with a few different like podcast guests that I've had on who have also like gone through grief,
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of talked about where it's like it's instead of like asking someone who's going through grief what they need, it's
Mm-hmm.
better to just in that moment be like, you know what? You let me know. Not you let me know. Sorry, you say like if you think something that would make them like their life a little easier, like buying them dinner
Mm-hmm.
or buying them a gift card for gas, or
Mm-hmm.
just little things that will make their day to day a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
Or randomly you thought about them, and you're like, oh, I got you coffee, or here's some flowers, or here's just something.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about showing that like they're not alone.
Yeah,
I think that's means more that people would know.
for sure. Yeah, and I think that there's just like, if you do kind of start unloading, like, how are you doing? Like, if you really aren't doing well, and then you start unloading, people just panic. So
Yeah,
I think that's another thing I think of is just like, I know you care, but you just maybe don't know how to express it. And I think that what you're saying is really valuable because it's just like finding little things to do without them having to tell you, would be super
yeah.
helpful. And because like you said, you just don't know, and something might help, and you're just like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that right now. But
Someone got me a gas gift card.
yeah,
And I was like, that was the best, especially in this economy with the
yeah,
gas prices that are. I was like, that was
yeah,
the most thoughtful thing
for
that for
sure.
sure I'm going to use.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just, wow, like that was incredible, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
It's wild to me because I don't know if this is your experience, but I'm so curious to know. I feel like grief on one hand has never made me feel more vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and yet so much stronger
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's been my existence the past 3 years, is being vulnerable when my probably whole entire life I've kind of avoided that in a way, like just having to have this hard external exterior with every role I've been in. I think being kind of in a man's world in a lot of ways, in the corporate world, in the military,
I mean,
just
honestly, you kind of still are.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But getting pregnant, they're the most vulnerable that you could ever be or feel
Yeah.
is that pregnancy. You're very just in your feminine and very vulnerable, whether you're just going through the 9 months or you're giving birth. Like clearly, that's very vulnerable. But even grief, it just exposes. Like you can't, especially when it's heavy grief, you can't sometimes control what you're feeling. Like it just pops up when it wants to pop up, and you could be in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of a meeting, and you're just like, oh, I'm feeling a thing right now, and to deal with it. So it does. And I think that's human, and we all try to put on kind of this mask sometimes as
Hmm.
protection. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But being able to be vulnerable with yourself, number one, because I think that's a big deal. Some people can't even do. But with finding people, or, I like to kind of, I've done video journaling a lot throughout my life and
Oh,
just journaling in general, but it kind of depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll handwrite, sometimes I'll type, sometimes I'm video journaling, and
what
it
does
has
that mean?
so I literally just will start my phone on a video, and I'll just like, I have to talk through this right now. And I can go back to it later and be like, oh, I was going through a thing. Or sometimes I'll just say something that was
Oh,
like eye opening. And it's just like it just kind of came out of my mouth. It's kind of like journaling when you just kind of what do they call it? Like when you're just writing, no punctuation, you just write
yeah.
like dump. It's like a dump, right? But
Yeah.
it's kind of like that on a video, and it's just like I just need, and a lot of times it just becomes venting. Like I'm just like feeling something, and I need to get it out to someone, and I feel like I'm just getting out to myself, my later self.
And so you don't share these with anyone. You just have a bunch of videos.
Yeah, yeah. Little
Wow.
5 minute videos here and there. I used to do it a lot, and I don't do it as much anymore. But it's like a tool for me. Because sometimes journaling is just like finding the time to like go
Mhm.
and write and sit down, especially with a 2-year-old. That's really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
But handwriting, I have to slow myself down a little bit and really think through what I'm writing. Typing, I can kind of go a little bit more at speed and just kind of like get out what's there. But like usually if I'm doing like a video journal, it's just like I'm driving or I'm folding laundry or I'm just doing something like all these thoughts that are just reeling and I'm just like, okay, let me just get this out and I'll feel better. And I think that's like kind of my way and the way my brain works is if I get it out, it feels better. And even if I never revisit it, I can delete them or whatever, but it's a tool for me to just kind of managing like grief or whatever I'm like trying to sort through. Sometimes it's just sorting through like a direction I'm trying to figure out in life or, an interaction that really is just kind of stressing me out that I really am trying to like, what happened here, something like that.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
Mhm.
I feel that doing podcasting has helped me tremendously because there's not many opportunities where you can look back on a conversation and like realistically see what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's changed a lot in the way that I've communicated.
Hmm.
And it's been a really good reflection for me, just for myself and how I interact with others, but also just how I come across,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know?
for
And
sure.
so and it's given me so much confidence because
Hmm.
I'm naturally more of like a shy person and more like
Yeah.
introverted, which nobody believes me, but I promise you, I really am. Like,
Same, same. Yeah.
and so it's like with the people who know me who say, "Oh, I wouldn't believe that." Well, duh, like you're my inner circle. Like, of course
Yeah.
you don't see this other side of
Yeah, I'm
me.
comfortable with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but like walking into a big room, I mean, like that's like my least favorite thing to do. Like if I don't know anyone and like
Hmm.
there has to be some sort of like networking or socialization, like my first instinct is like I gotta go. Like I gotta
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. Like this is terrifying, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah,
It's
I feel that.
crazy. But I think a lot of advice that I've gotten with like confidence and coaching and things like that was actually doing the video formatting
Yeah.
because it just helps you kind of articulate, get out of your shell and
Hmm.
just get to know people. This has been life-changing for me, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's great. And a lot of times, sometimes I just go back and like kind of see a video and see my facial expressions without even listening, and I'm just like,
Wild.
oh man, I was feeling it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to have an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's journaling or honestly, CrossFit is a huge outlet for me. Like sometimes I'm just feeling away and I just go and work out and it's just all that backed up energy is gone. Like
Yeah.
it's expressed during the workout or on the gym floor and even just like interacting with people. It's just like I just needed that interaction, you know? So I think that it's a thing I feel like is really good for for that, you know? Like I think when we hold the energy in our bodies and we just kind of let it circulate and it's just we need to let it out and there's so many different ways to do that, you know? You can also do like yoga and breathing and all of that stuff does the same thing
Yeah.
in just a different way. So I don't know there's just some of us that have to like, hurt ourselves in a way to like
Yeah.
to get that all out.
Well, it's all energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you have an outlet for it. For me,
Hmm.
when I was younger, because I was so shy, dance was it for me.
Yeah.
Like there was just a way that I could like express myself or like hear the music. And then I actually became a dance teacher a little bit later because
Yeah.
that was like, it wasn't even so much about teaching other people. It was more about like hearing the music and then being able to choreograph emotions and feelings and
For
thoughts,
sure. Yeah.
which was really awesome.
Yeah, it's interpretive. It's yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But like recently, I don't know if you would care for this, but this is something that I just personal question I'm using this platform to ask my question now. But like the past week, I have felt so much stress and like tension. I'm holding it all in my body. And
Hmm.
normally walking, yoga, working out can do it for me. And I can't freaking let it go. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like I feel my body. It's like I'm so like taut right now. I feel like a
Hmm.
pencil. Like I can't like get it out. What do you
Yeah.
do when you like feel that way? Do you have any like tips?
I mean, I think I get that way sometimes when I really need a little bit of alone time. And like maybe something building, for me that I need to
Oh,
like kind of
interesting.
get to.
Yeah.
So if I ever feel like that, I mean, massage would be great, like, because I carry tension in my shoulders.
Right. It's
And
right. It's like that head neck
yeah.
between the shoulder blades
So
area.
I think that,
Worst.
you know, I have a little bit of a background. Here's another thing with yoga,
Yeah.
and I
Same.
did I did yoga training in India. It was actually focused on tantric yoga.
Wait, stop it. You went to India and did a whole training session there? That's
Yeah, I
so
did.
cool. For how
um,
long?
it was 5 weeks.
So cool.
But everyone hears tantra and they think of the sexual side of it,
Yeah.
but tantric yoga is really kind of following energy. And so, like, if we're doing like a sun salutation, we're like kind of following where the energy is flowing and the direction it's flowing, and like knowing where in your body you're storing tension and how to kind
Yeah.
of release that. And just with the shoulders, it's just like you're carrying the weight of something
Mm.
and that just locks everything in and when I have this going on, it pulls into my neck, into my head, and
Yeah.
just everything is just right there, concentrated, like right in the top of my T spine. So I always know that when I'm carrying too much of something else or something of
Mm.
my own or something of other people's, that it just holds there, and I
Yeah.
tend to like get that all locked up with muscles. So massage is a great way, yoga, just getting into that area, but also like kind of thinking about what is it that I'm carrying and you know, is there something I need to work through? Is there a conversation I need to have?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's connected for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Everything is connected. We want it to not be connected, but it's just our
Right.
energy is our body is our energy, whatever's happening in our
Yeah.
environment is absorbed into our body and in our experience. So
Have you read The Body Keeps the Score?
yes. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, not completely, but I have it.
I haven't completed it either. Man,
Yeah.
that it made me cry the first chapter, and I was like, "Hey, I probably read it at the wrong season of my life because like
Mm,
my dad was like just sick then, and I was like, I don't need to. This is too much for me.
this
I'm
is a
just like,
lot. Yeah,
yeah, I'm like,
for
I'm
sure.
already. I think there's sometimes when you're going through things and you're like, okay, esoterically, for sure, like everything's
Hmm.
energy. I'm carrying a lot. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah,
Like, you know.
for
But
sure.
sometimes you're just in survival mode, and it's just all the yoga in the world
Yeah,
isn't
it's
gonna
not.
you're just in that season. You just have to deal with it and like
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah, I think that in a lot of times it's like, well, we're burying stuff. Like I know for me, it's really easy for me to bury stuff because I've just got more urgent issues to deal with.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, eventually I have to get to that and I have to
Mm-hmm.
like kind of dig into it. So I think for me, like finding a safe space where I can kind of do that is important. Like your home, we talked about the home and kind of the energy it carries. I think for me, like my brother's home is kind of there, and we're purchasing it, me and my mom,
Oh
and it'll
wow.
be her kind of place to be when she comes to town because she lives a couple hours away. But I go there, it's almost like comfort, like I'm visiting my brother's energy or my family's energy because we had a lot of happy moments in his house and holidays and things like that. So it's almost like I'm going and having a conversation with him when I go there and just kind of, you know, release something, go out and sit in the backyard or something like that. So, you know, that could be a thing too, is, finding a place where you're just like, this is my safe space. And it could be, it used to be the ocean for me. I used to live in Florida and going to the ocean was always, I'd go walk on the ocean anytime I needed to kind of release something or clear my mind. Water is very healing. So that tends to be, anytime I'm near water, I'm like, in Florida, or in Colorado, I was living near a little stream and I would just go to the stream, every other day. So I think that's like super healing is just finding a safe place, whether it's your home or somewhere else where you can go and like,
Yeah.
this is my zen. Maybe it's a coffee shop.
Maybe it's a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Maybe my coffee shop one day.
Your coffee shop.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. It's wild sometimes, like with the coffee shop, because I'm just trusting in the higher power and the timelines and everything, like all the people, whether it's like investors or the people that I hire or the customers that come in, like everything has to be so aligned. Like I'm such
Hmm.
a believer, like I'm a God girl and a spiritual girl, and I just believe that
Yeah.
it all comes together when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But God, I was saying to someone recently, I'm like, it's almost like a curse being given a vision for something,
Hmm.
because it's like my favorite quote. Zig Ziglar says that if you have an idea for a business or a product, it's your moral obligation to make it a reality.
Hmm.
And so it's like there's so many coffee shops, but
Yeah.
there's no coffee shop that is what's in my brain.
Yeah.
And like I'm the only one who fully understands that vision. And like
Hmm.
I need to make it a reality.
And you know what I found with that same idea is if you have, I've, just a superstitious belief that I've come across and I've experienced this where if you have this idea and this vision and you don't act on it, that vision will go to someone else who
Mm.
will act on it.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you'll see your idea pop up and you're like, that's my idea. Well, it
Hmm.
probably was your idea and it literally,
Yeah,
made its way into someone else's brain and they made it a reality. So yeah.
because it needs to be a reality.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one way or another, it has to come into this world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it will happen. It's
Mm.
it's all coming together. It's all coming together. I'm just reverse engineering it. Like I
I
got the
mean,
idea, now I'm
yeah.
like doing the backward steps. I think what's so cool about this podcast is like within the hour, 2 hours that I talk to my guests, we're literally just scratching the surface
For sure.
on you and your life and everything that's brought you to this moment right here, right? But
Hmm.
it's like, it's so cool to get to know more of your story. There's so much that I learned about you just in the past like hour or so.
Hmm.
And it's it's so cool because I feel like I've talked to so many kinds of people, but especially you have like really taken life and squeezed all its juice. I feel you've done so much living. And I know
Yeah,
there's probably so much we haven't even like talked about,
for sure. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think that I don't know, when I get into a space, like I was telling you when I was in that corporate kind of environment, I was just like, I cannot like do this for the rest of my life. And it would eat on me every day to the point where I was just like, my soul is not allowing me to exist in this. And
Yeah.
I literally got laid off from my second
Mm,
corporate job. And I was like, it was a random, they laid off 1,500 people. And I was like, this is my meant to be. And I was
yeah.
like, all right, well, this is it. I'm gonna go travel, do I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna go. And that was very stressful for a while, but um it was just me kind of pursuing and trying to find my way into what I was meant for or what I felt like I was meant for. And um sometimes that's a process of just stepping away from a life and stepping into the unknown, and
Mhm.
that's really, really hard for me. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, they always say that, right? Like, you have to like walk away from this thing and trust. What is it? The if you can't, you take the next step with the staircase. What is that quote?
Oh, I don't know if I know this quote.
Oh, it's you basically have to take the step before you can see the next step on the staircase. There's a
Mm.
quote. I should have looked it up, but it's basically just walking into the unknown and trusting that you're going to find your way. But just taking that step first without um, having to know where you're going or
Yeah.
having to know the outcome. And I think
It's
we're all scared of
hard.
that. Yeah.
It's scary because, like, especially growing up from a religious background where obviously life is life be lifing, everyone's life
Mm-hmm.
is unique and whatever.
For sure.
But when you grow up in a super uber religious, worlds, there's almost like a clear cut steps of what life is going to look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you kind of step away from that, it's really terrifying because
Yeah.
there's no roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been kind of like my struggle where I feel like I live between like two worlds.
For sure. Yeah.
And but I've never felt more empowered and super happy and just like
Mm-hmm.
the way I like to phrase it, because I think words matter, is I love to watch how like God and like life will delight me, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
Where it's like let it surprise me. I don't need to hold so tightly and try to control it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
control what I could control,
Yeah.
but then also leave a little bit of room for fun and for play
For sure.
and just, be open to that things might turn out better than what I could have imagined.
For sure.
And if you're holding so tightly to one vision,
Yeah.
you might miss on some of the best things ever, you know?
It's true. Yeah. And then we're
Yeah.
creators, so I think there are some of us who are creators and some of us who are followers and
Hmm.
some of us who are leaders. So it's just kind of like, what is your default? Like I feel like I'm definitely wanting to have my own thing, but I'm also like creative and I want to be in that energy all the time. So, but it can be hard.
Yeah.
It can, those are not easy paths to follow. So,
No.
so when you like have a vision that you're trying to pursue, or that this is your path and it's just much harder to get to it than you want, it's just like
Hmm.
it takes some resilience, it takes some like fortitude to really stay on that path because it's so much easier to be told what to do. It's so much easier to just
Yeah.
go and get a regular job and just do the thing every day
Hmm.
because you don't have to think about it. You don't
Yeah.
have to be responsible for making your safety in terms of security and
Yeah.
money and all of those things. So it's definitely easier, but it's just not as rewarding, it's not as valuable. It makes your life a little bit, I don't know, less
Colorful.
interesting, colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's a season for it
for
too,
sure. Yeah, for sure.
like it's so interesting because there was a guest who was talking to recently about this where when my dad was sick, working corporate was a blessing at the time
Hmm.
because there was so much that I was dealing with
Yeah,
that I wanted to go to a job that I can turn my brain off
yeah,
and
for sure.
just do, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, just do the job that you need me to
Hmm.
do because I didn't have the capacity to do it all.
For sure. Yeah,
So I think like
it's hard.
everyone has different seasons and everyone has different needs.
Yep.
Like sometimes people need the stability. They have certain goals, financial
Hmm.
goals they have, or they have a family. Like everyone's different,
Hmm.
But I think that's the best part about life is kind of finding your niche. And there's no wrong answer to a certain extent as an adult, as long as you're not killing anyone or doing
For sure.
hardcore drugs. Like everything's fine,
Yeah.
right?
And then we're ready when we're ready.
Right.
It's just like we have to go through these experiences first
Yeah.
to be ready
Yeah.
sometimes. And sometimes that takes people most of their life and they finally get to their purpose or their thing
Oh
at
yeah.
the end. Some people know immediately and
Yeah.
because they needed to have that time to develop it or whatever. I think
Mhm.
that, like you said, it's all meant to be the way it is. Like
Oh yeah.
I think I had to go through a lot of the things that I've gone through to get to where I am now. And I think that I still have a ways to go. Like I'm not there by any means, but I know that like every experience I've had in life has made me, the version of myself that I have to be to get to the next one.
Mhm.
So that
How
it's
cool
like
is that?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I get impatient with myself.
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, oh, I don't I huh, why isn't this here
Yeah.
yet? But I've had to learn like that's like that patience. Like if I go before I'm ready, I'm not gonna make it. Like if
Yeah,
I start a business before I'm ready, it's not gonna survive. Like
100%.
so it's just, knowing that you're right where you're meant to be or where you should be,
Yeah.
as long as you're kind of staying open.
Yeah. I feel that way about La Cafe, like the coffee shop. I wanted it yesterday, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's like every experience that I've been through since I like really dedicated myself and left corporate for this, it's been like, oh, I'm frustrated that it's taking the time that it's taking, but I could see
Mhm.
why it all had to go this way. Like all the experiences that I'm getting is only going to make it better for when the business opens. I'm becoming the founder that I need to be
Hmm.
for this to be have longevity,
Yeah.
right? And like the first 90 days of a business are the most important. And I would rather do all this prep beforehand so that when it opens, I am the, not that anyone's really ever an expert, but there is more confidence,
Yeah,
right? And
for
I
sure.
have the network of people who are smarter and wiser around me who
Hmm.
can help me versus just trying to do it all myself, you
Yeah.
know?
It's hard to do it by yourself. Like you
It's
get burnt
impossible.
out. Yeah.
It's not, it really, it's impossible to do anything by yourself. And I think that's
Yeah.
an ego driven thing. And so when you're able to like, oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd on entrepreneurship and like business, like that's my thing.
Hmm.
And so many of the like podcasts that I've listened to recently talk about how if you can't step away from your business for like 30 days and it run well without you, that's a terrible business plan. Like you are
Hmm.
an operator but you're not a business owner,
For
you
sure.
know? And like most business owners aren't going to necessarily step away in that capacity,
Right.
but it's more about like, are the systems and operations in place
Yeah.
where,
Being able to delegate, like
yeah,
having people that you can rely on and asking for help. Like that's been a thing for me for sure is being able to ask for help and
yeah,
versus just doing everything yourself and
right. And also sometimes you have people who can help, but they really can't do it as well as you, and that's okay.
yeah,
And learning to be okay with it
for
not being
sure.
maybe
That's
your level, that's hard.
yeah, that's what happens with when I do events, like plan events. I'm just like, I have to do this because no one else is going to understand what's going on in here. And
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's not a good way to work. So it, it's helpful when you're trying to put together a vision and get a flow to things, but when you have an actually active business, you definitely need a team that you can trust and rely on. So
yeah,
yeah.
right. And then setting them up in a way where they can step into those roles and you can
Hmm.
rely on them. There's so much back and forth. And I
Hmm.
think like as someone who's creative, that's something I was unexpected. Like I thought it had to be through art and vision and that kind of thing,
Hmm.
but it actually can be, it's more about creativity is also just the way you think and problem solve.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been super fulfilling for me
Hmm.
in every element of the business. So I've been obsessed with that.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see it all kind of come together and like half of it is having the vision and being able to put it together, you
Yeah.
know.
So, a question that I love to ask people is what is something that you are working on right now, like a project in your life that you're really excited about?
Um, and I wish I had more interesting things to say. I think that I just executed a summer party for the gym, and that was my big project
Yeah.
that I had been working on for some months. But that is, I love curating events that bring people together, and then not just for partying, but just to like I had a question asked to me like how do you get people in your community involved that maybe are
Mm,
introverts? How do you have these community events where you get everyone involved. So I think that I answer that to like I was able to do little crafts at our event, and it sounds so silly, but like there are people who are uncomfortable in social situations, and being able to bring that together and really see how this really worked because people who weren't comfortable hanging out and just having random conversations like in big groups like you were saying,
yeah,
like they'll go and they'll make a little bracelet and then everyone sitting around the table will start talking and then now they're having a conversation.
absolutely.
So I was really proud of that to be able to see that like come together, and I think just intuitively that was something I felt like it was important even though it seemed really silly to me. on paper. I was just like, oh, this could be stupid, but whatever. But I just love bringing people, finding ways to do that, and that is kind of the biggest reason why CrossFit, managing this gym, is so like powerful to me, because I've seen that. Of course, we all want to be fit and do the CrossFit thing, but like having those events is some. I have the worst process. I am a procrastinator, and I have
Same.
500 ideas, and 10 of them are what I utilize, and I'm unorganized with it. But I think it has to be that way for a little bit until I like make decisions. But those projects to me are stressful, but honestly, like they're so rewarding.
Yeah.
But I love doing that, and I have a future project I'm trying to work on. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I
That's
haven't.
okay. It's okay to, you don't have to say it if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's not even put together, but I do want to have a women's event in
Hmm.
the space,
Yeah.
similarly to what I do with CrossFit, but make it more R2L wellness women.
Love that.
And that goes in line with the green tent and the red tent, other types of events I've done that
Yeah.
have been kind of the template for any event up planned. But I want it to be a focus on women, and just powerful things happen when you bring women together in a room. And I've seen
Yeah.
it over and over and over. And we have some really amazing, intelligent, powerful women in this space. And I think that it would be so valuable, business owners and just people who have these, doctors and all kinds of things in our gym, um, engineers, and just people who do all kinds of cool things, and bringing them all together and having discussions and connecting and supporting each other really is the big deal.
Yeah.
So it's a mental project I've kind of committed to, but I haven't started actually the planning process. But I feel like it's really important to bring that forward in the space. So,
Well, the first step is speaking it into existence,
well, here
right?
we did,
Like
we did that.
now it's
Yeah,
on there, right? Got the
for sure.
virtual proof.
Yeah.
Something that I know we've talked about like love-hate relationships with AI,
Mm.
but like ChatGPT is my girl. She's my personal assistant. I call her
Hmm.
Gigi. I have like there's projects that you can do in there so you
Yeah.
can have different conversations and it like remembers all the context.
Hmm.
So you can do like a audio because I don't I just I brain barf essentially
Yeah.
into chat and like I will just tell her all my things and she'll organize my thoughts. Like sometimes my mom will see like captions on things that I've written. She's like, that was really long and you definitely had chat help you with that. And I'm like, no. Chat shortened what was in my brain because
Yeah,
there would have been like such a long
for
like
sure.
caption if I had just written it out myself.
Hmm.
So it's like I think that's really helpful for organizing your thoughts and kind of giving you like a game
Hmm.
plan. So I,
Good
I
idea.
I know you're not like the biggest fan of AI,
Yeah.
but I mean
I'm old
this
school.
isn't a flyer, right? Like this isn't like something visual. This is
Hmm.
just more about for yourself,
Hmm.
kind of like rolling it out.
Yeah, no, I like the idea.
Yeah.
It would be helpful because I do have too many ideas, and I have to like
Yeah.
dial it in sometimes.
Yeah, I same, same.
But
And I think like so for me with ADD that's called functional freeze. I used to
mm,
think it was procrastination, but really what it is, I don't do you have ADD or ADHD or anything like that? Not that you're
not that I
aware
know
of.
of. Yeah.
But functional freeze is something I think anyways people can suffer from, which is
Hmm.
like you just have so many creative ideas like ping ponging on you at once
Yeah.
that your brain doesn't know how to filter it into like an organized system and
Hmm.
just like, oh, here's like step one, step two, step three. And you're like so overwhelmed by the greatness of your idea that you're like, I can't even get started.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
what it does is it helps you like I like doing that because like she'll be like, love it. Let's focus on X, Y, Z first. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like be smart. And
for
so
sure.
it's just a tool, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
No, it's probably something I should dial in for my next projects.
Or any events that you do, like big
Yeah.
or small. Like, I mean, sometimes I literally feel like she's my assistant. I'll be like driving to work in the morning and I'll be like, hey, here's my brain dump for the
Yeah.
day. Let's like help me time block, help me figure out like what makes sense.
Yeah.
And like for me, I've got my podcast, I've got Love Cafe, I've got my personal life, and it's just like and then like my job that pays the bills right now. So she's like helps me figure out like here's what you actually should work on today
Yeah.
and you need to create buckets because you're putting everything on a must be done today kind of list
Yeah.
and she kind of helps me organize it so
No, I like that for sure.
yeah
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah. So I have a tradition at the
Hmm.
end of my podcast episode, and you're welcome to look on your phone if you want to. I always ask my guests what is their favorite quote or life lesson, because this
Hmm.
whole podcast is based on this Hebrew quote, which is Eza Huacham Halamim Mikol Adam, which means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone. And we've learned so much from you. I know we
Hmm.
barely scratched the surface, but
For sure.
if you can leave us with like one last life lesson or quote, what would it be?
Well, there's a poem that my grandma used to have by her door, and it's been passed down in my family. I literally put it on our shirts, our last sweatshirt release here at the gym. But
Yeah.
it's I won't say the whole thing, but it's basically this is the beginning of a new day, and I want to use this day for gain, not loss, you know, and focus on the positive, not the negative, and realize that you're exchanging a day of your life for it, and that I don't want to waste it.
Mm.
And that is it was literally by my grandmother's door. Every day she'd walk out the door and it was right there. My dad kind of adopted it, my brother adopted it, and I as well. But it became really real, in the face of loss when you see that, life is so short. So I think that's my big lesson, probably my life lesson is just using every day, and realizing it's an opportunity. And if it's a bad day, it's a bad day, but we learned something from it. But I'm going to go into the day, and seeing it as, an opportunity for growth, for change, and for just living.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and that's
love
the big
it.
deal.
That's so great. And then I think what I would love to do is get the full poem from you.
Hmm.
And then like when I share it as your life lesson, also be able to have that there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm a big poetry girl, so
Yeah, no, I love it. Me too.
yeah, that's
Sounds good.
great. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing so much of your story with
Hmm.
us. I've learned so much. I'm so geeked out. We got to like actually finally do this.
Hmm.
But
That's great.
what's like the last thing that like my audience can do to like help support you or follow you on
Um,
your journey?
I mean, just I don't know. I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources. I love helping people. So if there's anything, that you've heard that you're interested in, nutrition, wellness, CrossFit, life stuff, and you just want to talk, I'm here for it. I love having conversations with people. I love helping people, and I think that it's really important in life that when we go through anything, that we make that accessible to
Yeah.
people for it to be, worth it, really. If I just want to say it that way, it's just like I love being able to share my story with people, and I'm not the type of person who will put it out there. I don't necessarily like feel a need to be seen about anything I've been through, but I love having the opportunity of sharing it with people, and um, I am happy to sit down with anyone and have a conversation. Or, again, I do nutrition coaching, I do CrossFit, I do, I know how to do breath work, all of those things, but it's just something that helping people is a passion. And
Yeah.
I love finding those opportunities, and, um, anything I can do to help, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think this women's group that you're creating is going to be perfect.
Yeah,
Like,
for
it's going
sure.
to be a really great space for all the women who are part of the gym and the St. Louis community, but also,
Hmm.
like, what a great space for you to utilize all the gifts that you have
Yeah.
in one arena.
Hmm.
And I told you this before, but I'm like, Will and Peter better watch out because when Lake Cafe opens, I'm probably going to steal you and use you for a bunch of events because, like,
All right,
event
let's go.
coordination is not necessarily my expertise, but like community
Mm,
is what I'm all about,
yeah,
right? Like coffee and podcasting is just my medium. It's
for
people
sure.
that I want to help. And so
Yeah.
having like that space, that's what's so important to me. So,
Yeah. And I also love
yeah.
facilitating the conversations in my women's events I've done in the past. We had panels, discussions. So
Yeah.
definitely will be a thing, be on the panel.
I love it.
Start it out. You could actually you could kind of what they call it? Um MC.
Me?
Yeah, we could have you
Me,
MC
MC?
one.
Cool. Okay, we'll add it to my list of things that make me want to like shit myself, but sure. Yeah, I love it. I have such a fear and love-hate relationship with speaking
Public speaking,
publicly.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I will probably puke beforehand. Um But like there's also this weird part of me that is like I also love the limelight at the same time. So
Yeah.
like while I'm afraid of it, once I'm there, I'm like, oh, this is great, you
Yeah,
know? So
it's
it's
fun.
a love-hate relationship. But
Yeah. Well,
this has been so great. Thank you
yeah,
again.
for sure. I
Yeah.
was happy to do it. I love the conversation. It was great.
Yeah. And also, guys, I'm so sorry. I lost the video for the first half of it, but
It's all good.
this is such a great story. This is such a great podcast. I know it's going to add so much value. So that's why, despite it all, I didn't want to like just re-record it. I wanted it to be real and raw because this was
Hmm.
such a powerful conversation. I just know that it's going to help a lot of people who listen to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all
Well,
good.
guys, I'm so sorry. This has been another great episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Despite the fact that a lot of the video got lost, we're going to be sharing it on YouTube and Spotify. And if you are not already subscribed on YouTube, what are you doing with your life? Please go subscribe because that is how I'm going to get monetized so I can keep doing what I'm doing. Please share this episode with a friend. And I hope you guys have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.